Okay, once again, thanks everybody for attending tonight's Team Webmaster training. My name is Sean Pete. I am the lead developer of MB Sportsweb and the 1DB. Tonight we'll quickly cover some of the cooler things that you might want to take advantage of as an end user of the site, and maybe some information you can relay off to the rest of the parents or players that are on your team about how to get the most out of the site. There's a lot of new associations that have come on board with MB Sportsweb in the last few months, so we're very appreciative of that. And with that, a lot of new first-time visitors to the site, so we want to make sure everybody's getting the most out of it. The site is very heavy in terms of scheduling. Your association schedulers should be using it as the primary, if not the only way to communicate the schedules to the teams. So we want to make sure that you have a quick and easy way to get those schedules out of the site. So on the screen right now, I'm just using Guelph Minor Hockey as an example. If I wanted to look at the Minor Pee Wee AAA's team calendar, the list of teams is found on the left-hand side of the home page, and depending on the size of the association, obviously Guelph's fairly large with 140 some odd teams. We can go to the category first in their case, and then choose the minor Pee Wee team to get to their team site. Some of the smaller centers, it may not be that involved. There might be just a list of teams available on the left-hand side, and all you gotta do is click on your team and go directly to your team site. Once I'm on the team site, we have the option to look at the various pages that are in our team's menu, and we'll show how you can change the pages that appear in this menu as part of the webinar. But the most sought after one will be the team calendar. So within your own team site on your team calendar page, you have the option to view things in a calendar mode. I personally like to see the leading and the trailing week in any given month, so that's why we do show it. You can also choose to hide those other, the leading and trailing week by choosing to hide the other months, just in case you don't want to see them. And if you want to see everything all in one view at the same time, you can do full monthly view or just a single monthly view. All that's available. If you like seeing stuff in list mode, that's another option as well, which you can choose to show stuff from the past. So a lot of different ways to look at the different calendars, and these are up to the the visitors of the site. So each individual parent can choose to view the schedule any way they want to. So that's kind of neat. The site also has a mobile version that comes up automatically. If somebody needs to quickly check a team calendar, they can do so on any kind of mobile device. And also one thing that you'll want to show people how to do is how to subscribe to the calendars from the website. And you do that by clicking the subscribe option that's on your team calendar page. That takes you to another page that describes how to do it with some instructions on it. We do need to update the BlackBerry one because BlackBerry does support this over-the-air synchronization on BlackBerry 10 and above, but for the older BlackBerries, this actually doesn't work. Really what you do is you find this part here in step one, and then that will allow you to choose one or more teams to subscribe to those calendar feeds. So if I was choosing the AAA minor Pee Wee team that I was on, and maybe I also have another sibling and or child on a different team, I can subscribe to both teams at once. Take that address, copy it, and then either email it to myself if I want to open it up on my iPhone or my Android, or I can take it into Outlook and synchronize it in Outlook by, if I drag this over, I can go open a calendar from the internet, paste in the address, hit OK, and now we have those two teams from Guelph Minor Hockey coming into my calendar for me automatically. This will synchronize with the website, so whenever your scheduler changes something, this will automatically update as well. Now, in addition to that, if you would like to subscribe for schedule changes to be sent to you by email or text message, in the left-hand part or left-hand column of the site, there's this email or text message option in the Manage Subscriptions area. If we were to choose email, then we would just simply type our email address, hit go, and then that will give us a list of all the teams in the current season, so we can pick and choose which teams we want to subscribe to, and then also whether we want to get schedule changes, game results, news articles, or events. Now this little asterisk for schedule changes at the bottom indicates that the notifications for schedule changes will only be triggered if whatever's being a change affects the next 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is the default. Most centers do keep it on that, but what that basically means is that if today is May and a practice is scheduled for your team in December and it changes, it's not going to email you about that today. It will only email you if it's within 2 weeks of what's about to happen. So we recommend doing both the subscribing for those calendars as well as subscribing for those email or text message notifications. Now you can do that on behalf of all of the parents on the team, or you can just quickly tell them that that's how they do it and you make them do that themselves. So with that, I'm going to jump into another site now. So this is our mbsportsweb.info. This is our sample or sandbox site that we've got available. Earlier tonight I did another webinar for some of the administrators and we created some sample teams in here. So I'm going to be working mostly with this novice rep sample team. And there's not a lot of stuff in here, but there's a few things that we've scheduled and a couple practices, and that's what's in there right now. So sort of the first things that you would need to get into the site is a username and password. Now, if you don't have one yet, then you need to contact your website administrator or your main webmaster and ask them for a username and password. Assuming you have that, the login link for the site is located at the top of the page. So we click login and enter your username and password. And if it's on a private computer, then you can go ahead and check off remember me next time. Otherwise, if it's a fairly publicly available computer, you probably don't want to check that. If you've forgotten your password, you can always choose the forgot password option, which would then allow you to type in your username, and then it will send a new password to the email address associated with your account. If you've forgotten your username, then the only way to find that out would be to ask your administrator or your main site webmaster. However, we also recommend that people set up usernames that are based on your real name. So if that's the case, then it should be easy to figure out what your username is as well. Once logging in, the first time I'm logging in, the site's going to detect that I've never changed my password. So it'll prompt me to do so by either clicking here or clicking my name at the top of the page. So if I've already changed my password in the past and I want to change it again, then the only way to do that would be to click my name at the top. So if you click your name, type in your existing password, type in a new one, and confirm that new one. Change the password and continue. Now, once I'm logged in, assuming that your account has been set up properly, you will have access to what we call the control panel, which is the administrative area of the site. If you click on control panel, that's going to take me into the back area of the site. And we will have, in most cases, access to just the control panel home area and also this manage site content module. Some centers might give you access to more than that, and we'll show what shows up if that's the case. But by default, these will be the two different areas that you're going to see. Now, to have the site go to the Manage Site Content module when you log in, you can click My Settings at the top of the control panel and choose that my default module is going to be Manage Site Content. We can also change how it looks if I want to choose some different formats for the skin. Maybe I want to choose this Windows 7 theme. Click Save, and we'll have a slightly different look and feel to the control panel. And if I were to exit the control panel and return back into it, it will now pre-select Manage Site Content. So it's just a little thing that helps save 1 or 2 seconds every time you're in here. So in the Manage Site Content module, in the top left, we have a list of all the sites that we've been assigned to. Now, if you are a webmaster for more than one team, the different options would be available and you can freely switch between your different teams. This particular login has only been assigned to this novice rep team, so that's all I have access to. And the one thing I'll point out right off the top is that there is a team webmaster manual available within this module. So this one hasn't been updated in a while, however, it still is very pertinent and has a lot of good useful information in it. It does say that it's a draft version because the site keeps on improving over the years. The documentation lags behind a little bit, so We'll update that manual when we need to, but for right now, it actually is pretty good. If you want to go ahead and print it off and refer to it, it's available for you. So within the Manage Site Content module for my Novice Rep team, we have a lot of different things that kind of come up. The first thing is that suggestions page. And as we add new features to the site, we will let you know about them on this suggestions page, which is again the first page that comes up. So about halfway through the last hockey season, we did add or make a little change to how tournament games are scheduled. So then we posted a quick little video on how to schedule team tournament games. So that video is only about 2 minutes long. Once your tournaments have been added to the site and you want to schedule the individual games within the tournament, we would recommend just watching that video for a couple minutes, and then you'll know how to schedule those tournament games. It's pretty quick. Now the top left has all these different pages that are available inside of the control panel. The site pages area allows us to take those pages that are in our team's menu and add to them, change them, delete them. We can add additional pages to our menu for whatever kind of purpose. And then we can also choose whether or not we want to password protect certain parts of our team menu. Now, while you cannot password protect the entire team site, you can password protect certain pages. And in particular, you can password protect either the player rosters page or the player's profile pages. There are different levels of password protection you can use, and then the instructions for how to do that is all set up on the right-hand side of this page. Now, while we're on here, I'm going to go ahead and password protect our player roster page for later, just to give you an idea of how that does work. So we set a password of test. Now, if I wanted to add another page to the menu, so let's say we've got our 5 default pages. These are the pages that are created every time a team gets added to the site. If I wanted to add another page, and maybe a player statistics page, I can do so by clicking Add Page. And whatever you're doing in the control panel, if you're going to add a new piece of information, there's almost always a button that will say Add Something. So if you're adding a news article or adding a web page, there's a button that says Add that piece of information. So when we're adding a web page, it's going to pop up a new form for us, and it's going to ask us what type of page this is. So in here, we have a recommended type of player statistics. We also have a trial player list, and we'll briefly touch that at the end of the webinar. So if I choose the player statistics page type, it will preset the page title for me to be player statistics, but I can call this whatever I want. And if I want to put this maybe as a flyout for the player roster, I can drag and drop and hold that over roster and then drag it or drop it so that it is a flyout. Or I can drag this around to show up maybe beneath the player statistic or player roster page or above it. It does take a little bit of trial and error and some practice getting that thing to work exactly the way you want to, but that is essentially how that works. You can also hide or show pages for specific date ranges if you need to, and you can even do non-menu pages, which is not likely to be used at the team level, but it is available as an option if you want to. If we hit Insert and Close, we'll now have our player statistics page added to our menu. Now in a different browser here, I'm on that team site for the Novice Rep team, and we now have our player statistics page type. There's no players that have been added to this actual roster, so nothing shows up. And just for fun, we'll see if we can go to the player roster page. And because we had set that password on it before, it's now challenging me to enter a password before I can view the information that's on that page. So you can have a password set on the player roster page, and you can have a different password set on the player profile page if you want to enable player profiles for your team. Now, once the pages have been added to your menu, if you want to add another page, for example, that is maybe hotel booking information, and maybe we'll have that show up last in the list. Sometimes you might want to password protect that as well, so only the parents on your own team would be able to see that booking information. Once the page has been added to your menu, then Manage Page Content allows us to view each of these pages in sort of a preview of what they look like on the website. So the hotel booking info page that we just added, it has nothing on it right now, but if I wanted to add some information, I can just double click on that large box, or I could have clicked the Edit Content button at the top. So when you're in the control panel and you're looking around and hovering over stuff and something changes to yellow, that means you can double click on it and that will open up a form for editing whatever that is. So if it's a news article, um, and you want to change it, you just double click on the news article. It will open up that form, make whatever changes you need to make, and away you go. So in here we can just type in blah 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 blah, whatever we're typing, update that, and that's what shows up on the website for that particular page. Now that's for different types of information that's not covered off in things that are in this basic features area. So news articles, events, team sponsors, quick links, and accomplishments, they all go in by just adding to the list of news articles. So in this particular team site, I don't have one yet. If I click add article, that's going to open up the news article form. I can choose a title for the article, so you can say sample team article. It will let me know who's logged in by pre-populating that. I can change the submission date. So if we're playing our arch rival on Friday and today is Thursday and we know we're going to beat them, we can write the news article now, change the submission date to be Friday night after the game, and then the article will show up on the site automatically after the game is over instead of when you actually submitted it. If it's a quick little news article, you can just kind of type that. If it's a full game recap, you just type the first paragraph in that first paragraph area and then click the rest of the article tab to fill out the rest of it. So if you want to embed additional images or videos from YouTube, you can do all that stuff on the rest of the article. The first paragraph does need to be mostly just text. If you want to upload a picture with the article, you can click on the little photo icon, and then we can grab an image that's already been uploaded to the site, or we can upload a new image. So if I go add files, it'll ask me where I want to grab it from my own computer. I pick pictures, and maybe I want to grab one of my sample pictures and the koala. Open that, and it's going to upload it for me. Now this will actually resize the image on your computer before it uploads it to the site. So if you've taken all these pictures on a high megapixel camera and want to put them all on the site, you can do that. It'll actually resize them on your computer before it uploads, so it'll be fairly quick. So I choose that image that I want to use for the news article, insert that, and now I've got my picture assigned to the news article. Insert the article itself, and now I've got an article showing up on my team site. So if I go back to the other browser and revisit the team homepage, I've got my sample team article showing up. Now if I wanted to make a change to this, so maybe I put sample team articles and all I wanted to do was sample team article, again, double click on something that turns yellow, reopens the form, make my change, and now instead of an insert, I'm going to hit update. Now the other thing I'll point out while this form is open is that we are tracking who's changing or submitting the information and who's changing it and when they're doing that. So just be aware of if you are posting something to the site that we are putting your name on it, and hopefully that doesn't cause any issues. Now to delete something, if we're looking at the news article and again it highlights in yellow, the other thing that shows up is this trash can icon. So deleting it or clicking the icon does what you would expect. It'll ask you if you want to delete the article. Are you sure? You hit OK, and it will delete it from the site. Cancel will not delete it. Hit OK. Now that article is gone. So whether you're doing news articles or events or team sponsors, it's all the same way. So a sponsor goes in by clicking add sponsor. We upload the image, specify the website if they have one, give it the sponsor name, and add it to the site. Now there are a few things that are under advanced features, so if you want to do things like a photo gallery, or if you want to do a picture library or a document library, those are all available. You can even do polls, so if you want to do some interactive stuff with the visitors to your team site, you can do a quick little poll. It can be something as simple as who's going to win the Stanley Cup with a couple of different options. And if you want to be funny, just put the Leafs in there. Or it can be something specific, like do you think we should do XYZ on Friday night? Yes or no? And you won't be able to enforce this, just the people that are involved with your team that are voting on that, but you would get a general sense. You can also put in player sponsors. And there's a feature in the site that allows you to do an online auction. So now the way these are set up, because most associations will require that all team fundraising gets approved, You can go ahead and create an auction, but it won't be able to go live until it's been approved by the main webmaster in the site. But this is one of the things that we think is sort of a revolutionary twist on fundraising that allows you to take the idea of a silent auction and put it online. So instead of going out and soliciting businesses for money, maybe you go out and solicit businesses for items to donate to the auction, and you can put them up on here. People can register to actually bid online. We also enforce things like minimum bids and increments and stuff like that. At the end of the auction, you'll know who had the highest bid and what they did actually bid on those items. And we even take it to a next step because this is a minor sports site. Almost everybody that's on here has got a competitive nature to them, so we do have things like leaderboards for the auctions. We send emails when people have been outbid and stuff like that. It's all available on the auction. And worst case scenario, if it's the parents that are on the team that are bidding on the auctions on their own team, at least they're buying something instead of just donating money to the site. So it's a nice little feature that you might want to take a look at and as a fundraising idea for your own team. The player statistics, if your players were assigned to your team, then you'd be able to keep track of the cumulative statistics for each of the players. The site does not right now track or game by game statistics. It just does the cumulative stats where you keep track of them offline somewhere else. And that's all it does for right now. The tryout lists. If you've not yet had your tryouts, this is a very powerful feature that was added to the site a few years ago that allows you to list the players who are still invited back to try out with your team online. I believe a lot of the people who are on the webinar tonight have already done their tryouts, and some maybe have used that feature. But there is an entire video on our YouTube channel that goes through tryout lists and how to set it up and how to use it. In fact, Guelph Minor Hockey did a really good job this year in doing their tryout lists online. So we'll probably do a case study that shows how they did theirs and how to get the most out of it. The other thing that I'll show in here is in the reports area, we have the subscriptions. So just like on the home page where the manage subscriptions box, this page will show anybody that is already subscribed to your team, and you can even add additional email or text message subscriptions from here. So if this is quicker, if you're going to add the subscriptions on behalf of the parents on the team rather than just asking them to do that on their own, this might be an easier way to do that from within here. So the roles and responsibilities of a team webmaster, really what you're asked to do as a minimum would be kind of two things. One would be to post the occasional news article about how your team is doing, and you do that by going to manage site content, basic features, news articles, add your articles, and away you go. The other thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're posting scores for the games that your teams are playing. So on the suggestions page, the site will detect whether or not you've got any games that have been played that don't have scores and will prompt you. So this is telling me that there's been 2 games that have been played that don't have a score. So I can click this little schedule and results link that's on the suggestions page. That will then take me to what is the schedule and results page, which is underneath manage page content and schedule and results. Now, as it says on here, there's not a lot that you can do on a mobile device, but recording scores for your team is one of those things. So you can log into the website on a Android, BlackBerry, iPhone, whatever, and post scores to your team's website from the arena while the game is ending. If you want to do it from the website, then you just come to the same schedule and results page, double click on a game, type in the score. We always have the home team on the right, so just make sure you're looking at which team is which here. So maybe we will go ahead and won this game 5-2 or 5-3. If you want to type in some additional game notes, you can do that if you'd like. Anybody that's subscribed for email or text message notification of game results would get those game notes sent to them. Not for the text, for the email they would. Text message, it would be too long. So anything you type in there would get emailed, so just got to make sure that you have that in mind. Click update, and now we've got the score posted. If we made a mistake, we can go ahead and double click on that and change it. So if we had it reversed, we can go 3-5 instead and update it again. It will then re-trigger that game results email. If your center is linked into the 1DB, and if you don't know what that is, it's a league scheduling tool that we provide. A lot of the minor hockey centers in Ontario are going to be linked into that scheduling platform for the league. You'll see a chain icon next to each of the games if those games are linked. and by posting the score in your site, it's going to automatically post the score to the league schedule, which would then automatically update the league standings and potentially update the other team's website that you're playing against that night too, if they're linked into the same system. So if you are linked into the 1DB, then the rules are that the home team has exclusive rights to the score for the first 24 hours of the game being played. However, either team can post a score immediately after the game has been played. Whoever did post a score has 24 hours to change it in case you made a mistake. After that 24 hours has elapsed, then the score would be locked and nobody can change it anymore unless it's done by a league level convener. So if you are linked into the system, then that's how that does work. The other thing you might want to do is, as a scheduler has been assigning practices to your team, if you want to add details to the practice, you can take a practice that's already been scheduled on the team calendar page, click on the practice, and then add additional details. So if you want to add a practice plan, if you want to indicate to people that there's going to be maybe dry land before or after the activity, then you can use the additional details to let people know what's happening in the practice if you want to. And you can do that without changing the any of the other details of the practice, like where it is or when it is. And by default, you won't be able to change anything to do with your schedule. That would only almost always be handled exclusively by your association scheduler. However, there are opportunities for certain centers to allow different levels of access. So what I'll do is I'll make that same login that I was using on the other site a scheduler for my team, just to give you an idea of what I would be able to see if I had been given access to the scheduling module for my team. So if I have access to the scheduling module, then the association will define very clearly what you're allowed and what you're not allowed to do. For the most part, anything that's been set up by your association's scheduler, you won't be able to touch. However, you'll probably be able to add things like your own practices. And to schedule a practice is just like anything else. So add new practice. We'll choose the date and time that the practice is going to occur. Some associations will let you type whatever you want in here. Some will actually force that maybe the label is preset with something like Team Ice to indicate that you've bought that on your own. You can choose to repeat it or not repeat it, and we just choose the date, time, and insert and close that, and then we've got the practice added. Now, because I added it, if it's not in the past, I would be able to edit it or delete it if it was still in the future. This is not letting me edit it because it is in the past and it's already happened. The other thing that you'll have access to is this team schedule health report, which would go through your team's schedule day by day and look for potential issues. So good news for this team, there's no potential issues, but that's something you might want to check if you have access to the team schedule health report. Now that report, I believe, is also available in the managed site content module. Under reports, team schedule health is also available. So there's nothing wrong with the team webmasters just double checking the work of the schedulers. If you want to frequent this team schedule health report to make sure that nothing that you guys have scheduled as team events is conflicting with something that your scheduler has put in, this is a quick and easy way to help find that stuff. And if there's an issue, then you would contact your scheduler. So with that, that's the essence of the managed site content module for a team webmaster. If you have any additional questions or want to see things in more detail, we would encourage you to click the Support Central link that's at the top of the control panel. In here we have our knowledge base, which has some information. It could be made a little better, but it does have some information about different areas of interest. And if it's not available within these articles, you can either choose to ask your question to the entire community at large, or you can just email us directly within the Support Central site. We try to provide responses with an average of 24 to 48 business hours. We are not a huge shop here. We do have enough people to answer the questions that come in, but if everybody asks a lot of the questions all at the same time, then there might be a little bit more of a delay. But we'll try to get everybody's questions answered as soon as possible. Sometimes it might be within the hour, sometimes it might be a day or two. Frank's asked if you can password protect content such as videos, photos, and scores. You can't password protect the scores. If you were to do a image gallery, so the quickest way to do an image gallery is go to Advanced Features, Galleries, View List, Add New, create a gallery, and we'll just maybe call this the Windows 7 sample images, and we'll leave the description blank. Once I have my gallery created, I can go to Manage Galleries, click on the gallery itself, add images, add my files. I can select all of these at once, upload them. And again, it's fairly quick. Now, due to the nature of image galleries, because they are images, we don't automatically show them anywhere. There's this little link that says to add the gallery to your team's menu. So if you want to do that, you can click that. And once it's in the menu now, if I go to password protection, there's more options that are available because I've been adding more stuff to this particular team site. So I can password protect the player stats page. I can now password protect that particular photo gallery as well. So regardless of how people end up on the page that shows those photo gallery, it will prompt them for the password in order to access those particular images. So that's how you can do that. Now with videos, while it is possible to host videos in the site, it's quite often better to do videos on like a private YouTube channel and then control them there. Jason's asked, where can you add links to locations? So I'm thinking that this is quick links. So under basic features, we have the ability to put in quick links. So we can add a quick link, and this just allows us to put a link to anything. So I don't have to put an image in for it. I can link to, for example, maybe the OMHA, www.omha.net, and insert that, and that would give us a quick link. If I go back to my team homepage, we now have that link to the OMHA as a quick link. If we're linking to a lot of stuff, then rather adding them as quick links, we can add a page to the menu, which is called an external links list. And that's a different way to do it. It gives you the option to have a page just full of links that links to stuff. And you can categorize them however you want, and that might be the way you want to do it. So just look into the different options. Once you add the external links list page to your team's menu, then you'd be able to go to Manage Page Content and click on the external links list and start managing the links that actually do show up on that page. Now, if there are players that have been assigned to your roster, the player roster page is where we would set up additional player profile information. And on here, there's a privacy button that will determine that for the first names of the players, do you want to show the full first name, which is the default, if you want to hide the first names or show just the initial, and the last name if you want to show just the initial, which is the default, or to hide them entirely. So you can show just first names or just last names or hide both names. For the birth date, you can show just the year or the month and the year, the full birth date. And then you can show or hide, and this is team level settings, showing or hiding the home center, height, weight, player stats, and whether or not you want to enable the profiles. So you can turn those on and off as a team, and most centers would let the team sort of decide that on their own. That because whoever's doing this should have consent from the other parents to do it. If as a team you want to have height and weight on, but one of the families or a couple of families doesn't want to show it, then you can turn it on for the team and just not enter the height and weight for that player. So there's a lot of different options to choose for the profile settings, but the stuff that's in orange and red here is I mean, ironically it's hard to see, but it's supposed to be highlighting the fact that you need to make sure you've got consent from everybody that's on the team to put this information on the site, and make sure you're following the organization's privacy policy, which we don't know of. You'll have to check on what that is, and also following the Privacy Act. The rosters themselves are typically entered similar to there being a global scheduler. There'll be a global registrar, so that's who normally would be assigning your players to your roster. There is a way for team webmasters to be set up as team webmaster or team registrars, which would allow you to assign players to your team You wouldn't be able to add players to the master player list that's in the site, but you would be able to take one of the players that's in there and add them to your team. However, most centers use the site to keep track of the rosters too. So I would suspect that most of them are going to put the rosters or put the players on the rosters for you, and all they're going to do is put in their name and birth date. You'll be responsible for adding the other information, such as their jersey number, positions that they play. If you do this other stuff, the height, weight, their stats, stuff like that, would be able to be put in by you once those players have been added to your roster. Same thing with coaching staff. The association is going to enter your coaching staff. If you wanted, and they might just put in your head coach. If you want to add additional team staff, maybe the assistant coaches if they're not already in there, or a manager, or yourself as the team webmaster, you can add your own staff to the team. And really, you should put anybody that's volunteering their time for the team should go in here, and as long as they're okay with that. But if somebody's volunteering their time and they'd rather not be on there, just don't put them in. But this should probably include your manager and your trainer, equipment manager, social committee liaison, treasurer, whoever. They can all go in there as team staff, and you can do that on your own.